July 19th, 2020. It's 4:11 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm here with Abigail Peabody. Abby, do I have your permission to record this interview and use it for my business, Worth Read To?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so to start, can you tell me what your official title is and kind of what that entails, like your responsibilities?
Yeah, so I am Ms. Maine USA Ambassador for the USA Ambassador System, which is a national system whose charitable beneficiary is Big Brothers Big Sisters of America. Yeah, so my responsibility as Ms. Maine is to represent the state in the Ms. category, which is 26 years of age and up. I like to represent my state by getting out and doing a lot of community service and serving the community that I live in and the state in general. So I participate in a lot of charity events and volunteering, and that's kind of how I like to represent the state of Maine for this pageant system.
Awesome. Doesn't surprise me. You have such a big heart. So how did you get into pageantry?
So we have this like little I don't want to say it's rinky dink, but we have this smaller pageant down here. A lot of our state fairs have some kind of pageantry involved. And if you win, you actually represent that industry for a year. So I entered the Maine Wild Blueberry pageant at the Union Fair. My aunt used to run it and I had cousins that always did it. So I figured it was my turn. And I entered in that and it really sparked an interest in me. It was like the getting all glammed up and getting out into the community and helping the community, and which is something I had already loved to do. So after that pageant, I decided to enter the Miss Maine Sweetheart pageant, which is part of the MASP organization here, which is Maine Academic Scholarship Pageant System. And it just kind of took off from there. I'm not going to lie, though, that first pageant I entered, I actually did not like, and I didn't think I wanted to do it again. But I decided to give it a go. And I think I did Miss Vacationland after that. And I really, really fell in love with just the charity aspect of it and the community service and a little bit of the glamour. The glam is kind of fun.
Yeah, you get to help and look great while doing it. So
Yeah, it's kind of fun to put on like a big, fun, frilly dress.
How many pageants have you done now?
I think I switched programs. So I think when I was in the MAPS program, I did 4 or 5. And then I moved to Global Earth Elite and I did that for a year. And then I kind of didn't do a whole lot for like a year or so. And then I found USA Ambassador and I've been with them for 2 years. And the charity pageant that I run, my winners had the chance to go on and compete at USA Ambassador. So I get to collaborate with them a little bit.
How many, titles?
I've held 3 official titles. I've been Miss New England, Elite Global Earth, Miss Maine 2018, and Ms. Maine 2020. And now 2021.
Sure, going into that. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, awesome. So let's kind of get into some of the deeper questions here. So beauty pageants and beauty queens have a history of being kind of controversial in feminist circles, especially because of objectification. So keeping this in mind, can you tell me how your experience has been as a woman in pageantry? And that could be positive and or negative.
Yeah. So when I started pageantry, I was covered in piercings and I had very few tattoos. I think I had maybe 3 or 4 at the time that I started. And now I'm covered. I have a full sleeve. I have 14 other tattoos. And I found that most pageant systems did not like pierced and tattooed girls. A lot of systems still tend to be very traditional and what I like to say cookie cutter. Every girl kind of fits the same mold, which I don't love about pageantry, but there are systems that are becoming more progressive and being more accepting of women of all shapes, sizes, colors, differences, ages, which is really cool. Before USA Ambassador, I definitely was treated kind of as like a token tattoo girl, where I was used as a prop to sell different systems as being accepting, but they weren't. And you get that, like some systems are very hit or miss. They're very set in very traditional ways, and others are very progressive and accepting. And I think you just got to kind of find the right one. And I think USA Ambassador definitely is one of those systems. They just want to showcase women for everything that they are, and that includes all of their differences, which I think is wonderful because you don't find that with a lot of systems.
Yeah, with diversity for sure. Actually, would you be willing to show your arm sleeve, which I think is so pretty?
I have my sleeve, which is lots of different animals. There's some imagery of Maine and different tracks that you might find in the woods. Each animal represents symbolism that I really find, well, is important to me. Like I have otters on my arm and they symbolize love. I have a loon, which symbolizes dreams and following your dreams. So they're all very purposeful tattoos that have a lot of meaning.
Yes, I specifically love the one that you have about I know it's on your foot, but the peas in a pod, and then all the little peas are the, what was it, the birthstones, like birth colors of the family.
Yeah.
Okay, so awesome. So what advice then would you give if there was someone who wanted to get into pageantry but is struggling with those issues of body image or self-esteem or just being objectified as a woman? How would you react to that person?
Definitely, do your research. I have very, very, very low self-esteem. I still struggle with self-esteem, but since getting involved with pageantry, my self-esteem has completely changed. I'm much more confident in the way I present myself and my ideas and talking to people. And I find that pageantry has actually opened a lot of doors for myself. Without pageantry, like I wouldn't have been able to start the charity organization or the charity event that I do for an organization. But you definitely want to do your research because there's pageants out there for everyone. Just because one system doesn't work for you, another one might. And there truly is, there's pageants for everything. There's this really cool one in the state of Maine, I believe, and it's about agriculture. So it's the pageant represents farm girls and what they do and how their work is so important. And then there are others that are focused more on making the planet green. And if you don't like the charity that a certain organization represents, you can find another pageant that does represent a charity that you're drawn to or support more than perhaps another organization. So research is important. I think my biggest bit of advice is if you want to do it, though, you just got to do it. It's going to be really uncomfortable, and that's okay because I think life is about being uncomfortable a little bit. But the benefits that you reap from pageantry are incredible. Your interview skills go up, talking to people, it becomes easier, you become more confident. And if you're a little different, that's okay. Not everyone's cookie cutter, and there are going to be little girls and little boys that look up to that, and there are going to be people your age that look up to that and older. So I think it's just about embracing your differences and going for it.
The diversity to be a source of strength.
Absolutely. And you connect with so many people that have been through similar things as you have or feel the same way as you have, from that you would never have met unless through pageantry. I find that the people involved in pageantry are very, very passionate people.
My friend for 8 years. And I took a second to think about that. I was like, oh my gosh, it's been 8 years. I'm so proud to see where you've gotten to, especially considering when we were friends and we were just in college, freshmen, had no idea what we wanted to do. So it's been an honor to see you grow as an individual, especially as you even mentioned, overcoming mental health challenges. So what difficulties and strengths have you found out about you and yourself along this journey?
For those who are unfamiliar with pageantry, you usually have to pick a platform. And this platform is something that is important to you and you advocate for. So you kind of have to be a little bit vulnerable. So I've definitely learned that I am much stronger than I give myself credit for. Life has taught me some very cruel lessons. These are things that are important to me and I want to advocate for. And by wanting to advocate, I have to be okay talking about those things. So definitely like just being comfortable in my own strength is something I've learned and I've started to embrace. Something that was shown to me was that I did have a lot of self-esteem issues. That was definitely a weakness, but I have found over time that my self-esteem is now like where I think it should be. And I see that as a strength that's come from pageantry, is just kind of owning my confidence. I think a major weakness of mine is I just didn't embrace myself for who I was. I constantly felt like I needed to change things about myself. And not to say there aren't some things I should still change, but pageantry has definitely taught me that I just need to accept myself for the way I am and to keep bettering myself. And I think coming to that realization is a huge strength that I would not have recognized, not for pageantry.
Learning to accept yourself, in order to do that you had to get past wanting like the acceptance of maybe some people, some critics maybe, for things like your tattoos or your body piercings, or like we mentioned, being objectified as a woman, or even used as like a token girl like you mentioned. But I love that. I love how you were able to kind of work that out through yourself. It's like weird. It's like instead of getting other people's approval to help your self-esteem, it's like you had to get your own and then other people were like respectful of that. So I mean, is there anything else you'd like to add from that we haven't talked about already?
Love yourself for exactly who you are. It was something that took me a really, really long time to do. I did not love myself for a very, very long time. Pageantry definitely has helped me appreciate myself for who I am, but you know, don't focus so much on the things about yourself you don't like, and just learn how to love and appreciate everything that you are, because you're on this earth. This earth is amazing. You have a place in the world. Embrace that and go do the things you want to do and change the things you want to change, but love who you are, because you're an incredible person. And I think everyone needs to accept that about themselves.
You mentioned also earlier like advocating. It's even finding your own, loving yourself even through like fighting for the things that you care about, like the change that you do care about. Actually, you mentioned some of the causes. May I ask what kind of charity organizations? You mentioned boys and girls, but is there a specific like cause that pulls you more towards like advocating for that specifically, or a specific organization more than
I
that?
also love getting involved with local charities. In Maine, I run a charity pageant that benefits the Maine Children's Home for Little Wanderers. They deal with like fostering and adoption. They also do a lot for teen parents, which I think is really cool. Um, I also love getting involved with local like Red Cross events, donating blood, just literally anywhere I can go to help, I will. Charity organizations that involve children are very near and dear to my heart. I work with kids in a school system, and I kind of see everything that they have to go through now. So Camp Sunshine is a big one. I love doing their polar dip every year, which is an icy jump in the ocean in the middle of February, which is super cool. But just I love I love helping anywhere I can, regardless of what the organization is. But organizations that have positive impacts on children are definitely very near and dear to me, and I try to really go to those ones and advocate for children.
I mean, kids don't have a voice even though they should, as they grow up, learning to just speak up. The whole, well, your child, better like seen and not heard sort of thing. So I think it's important to have, especially for like foster kids, especially right now with COVID and everything, like for the safety of like where you're going to be when you don't have a home. And there's a lot of foster kids are usually in the same place. But yeah, I mean, have you gone to do anything for dealing with coronavirus and COVID, related to the causes that you are supporting?
I haven't really, just because in Maine, like they were on a pretty strict like quarantine, like you were only allowed to go outside if you were gonna, be hiking or doing something active and fitness wise. And it was only essential trips, so only like trips to the grocery store or to, I don't know, Walmart or something, if that's where you do your grocery shopping. I did try to do my part during quarantine. I put together care packages for nurses that involved like these little bands to help keep the elastics off their ears. And I gave those. I have a friend who works in the hospital, and I gave those to her to give to her coworkers. So I tried to make an impact as best I could. Unfortunately, a lot of places weren't accepting donated goods. They weren't accepting unfamiliar help. So I tried what I could during the time.
That's all right. I mean, better something small than nothing at all, I guess. That's my new saying. Well, thanks so much, Abby, for taking this time to do the interview with me. I appreciate it. I'll, send you the link and everything.
Thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate it. I look forward to seeing this and watching this grow. I think it's super, super cool, and I'm really proud of you. So thank you so much.
Aw, thank you.